Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you Kevin House. Kevin is the owner of Center Collision in this very town of Tacoma, 1111 Center Street. They are a collision shop that is able to repair and paint cars after being in an accident and make it look like it never happened. They work with all insurance companies, but are not contracted for the work with them. They've been in business for 21 years, with 9 of those being at their current location. Kevin began his business by working out of his garage at his house as a hobby. He's been married to Debbie for 18 years, and they have 6 children, 3 boys and 3 girls, ranging from 15 to 34, and 8 grandchildren. He loves the outdoors, and when he's not working, you can find him snowmobiling, skiing, boating, camping, quadding at the sand dunes, motorcycle riding, or playing games with friends. Kevin is very involved in his church and volunteers as a Boy Scout leader. A new addition to the family is a pair of 50cc scooters.
Okay.
Male or female?
He's like Debbie.
Male or
Cruise
female?
around town on Kevin House.
Maybe there's gonna be a grandchild.
Yeah.
Probably considers them his grandchildren.
Yeah.
Hey, for the record, Brian, we have the same problem. People don't come see us unless they have to.
Yeah.
I'd like to start with a video.
So some of you may have seen a video we did recently on Facebook. I'm going to share that with you because I think it's a good introduction to what I want to talk about today.
Looks familiar.
Hi, I'm Kevin House with Center Collision. As you can see, we love fixing cars, and we love helping people more than anything. So if you've been in an accident or your car's in need of repair, come see us. So when you come to Center Collision, you're going to see right off the bat that we really care about you. We have a comfortable office, a welcoming staff, and we have everything you need to get your problem solved. You know, cars really don't care if they get repaired or not, but customers care about their cars, and it's really about serving the needs of the customers and helping them get their life back in order, and so that they can do the things that they need to do, whether it's going to work or taking their kids to school. So our main concern is really solving the problems that the customers are having. One thing our customers really love is our lifetime warranty. We offer that to our customers, which is really our promise to them that we did the job right, and we are proud to stand behind it. If you or anyone you know has been in a car accident or are in need of car repair, we'd love to help you out. We're at 1111 Center Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98409, or you can find us at centercollision.com.
Very good.
All right.
Is that a local company that did that?
Yeah, it is.
How did you convince Megan she needed to open the door for all your clients
Just naturally does it. I'll leave that up there for a second. It's my happy place. So, you know, our shop is different. I mean, it really is. And a good example of that is I just hired another girl to help us with estimates. And she was there for about a week. And after a week, I said, okay, so you've been here for a little while. You kind of see how things go and stuff. And so what do you think? You know, I know we're a little different than most shops, right? She goes, yeah, you guys care. I said, what do you mean by that? She goes, well, I worked at a lot of shops. And honestly, a lot of them really don't care. You guys really care. I thought, holy cow, man. She just nailed exactly what I want our business to portray to people. And she picked right up on it. So we are different. And so I was at a seminar recently, and the guy was talking about, he had a pretty successful business. And one thing he threw out there that I really, really latched onto and I really believed in, it was about each industry has inherent problems. Okay, I know mine does. I know probably all you guys know in your industry there's some stigma about something, you know, okay? You may not be able to control your industry, okay? but you definitely can have control of your own business. So he suggested to take, number one, find out what those problems are in the industry and turn those around and be very aware of them and use those to your advantage. So if there's a certain stigma or a frustration or a problem in your industry, understand what it is and understand how you can deal with it, and maybe be a little bit proactive about it, because people may come into John's business saying, well, he's going to take my money. Okay, it might be, you know, something like that, or Susan's, you know, well, you know, she's going to be selling me some products I don't understand, you know, or Reg, you know, about selling some equipment and not really knowing the function of them or something like that. So every industry, there's all kinds of different ways to look at it, but there's people already have an idea in their head about it. So, and I already knew this, and so after hearing it from this friend of mine that did the seminar, I thought, you know, I actually did I did a survey on Facebook about a month ago, and I just randomly kind of threw it out there, and I said, and I posed a question. I said, what is your biggest frustration about bringing a vehicle to a repair shop? I don't know, does anybody see that? Okay, I don't know if you responded, but believe it or not, 41 people responded to this question I posed out there, and I said, thanks in advance for your answers, because it's something I really want to know. What are your frustrations? And I actually learned a lot from that. So I put together a PowerPoint presentation kind of based off of that. So basically the whole idea is what are the frustrations, and what do we in my particular business do about these things to kind of alleviate them. Okay. Okay. All right, just looks different on the screen. So again, you know, what is the most frustrating thing about taking your vehicle to a repair shop? So probably in your head, you're already thinking you already know what it is for you, okay? And I already had preconceived notions about what I thought people, what their reluctance is, what's their frustration, you know? I mean, they only come and see us when they need us, you know, what's the deal here? So anyways, I posed that out there, and a third of the people that replied had basically the same frustrations. Anybody guess what it is? You probably already saw it, but.
Good service, and that nobody's going to rip them off.
Okay, yeah, it's about getting ripped off. So let's see, it should work. Okay, so getting ripped off, that's people's biggest frustration. So out of 41 people that were in the survey, 13 of them had some kind of a story about how they took, you know, their car in and this happened, that happened. And basically, long story short, they felt like they got ripped off. One guy even gave me a story about, you know, he got a quote for $8,000. Turns out he took it somewhere else, got it fixed for $500. I mean, let's face it. I mean, you would feel like, hey, well, the other place was trying to rip me off. And so I think it's real. So there's one thing that we do in our shop that to help prevent that type of thing. And you guys can test it anytime you want. All you have to do is call our office and ask them to give you a price over the phone for how much it's going to cost to paint anything on your car or do any type of repair on your car. Test them anytime you want. Call them, because if they fail, I want to know about that. But if you call, we get these calls all the time, you know, how much is it going to cost to put a new fender on my car? How much is it going to cost to fix this dent or to paint, you know, this or that? And our standard answer is, no problem. We'd love to give you that answer. So would you like to come in this morning or this afternoon? because we're not going to give them a price over the phone. We are going to wait till we get the car in the shop, because what's happened in our industry is that people give prices over the phone, and then when the customer comes out to get the actual repairs done, they find out that that price doesn't work anymore. It's like, oh, well, now that you're here, I can see your paint has to be stripped. And so we had no idea about that over the phone. Or your paint is a 2-stage instead of a single stage, or it's a tri-stage, and it's like, all they know is that someone's trying to get more money out of them, okay? So that's one thing that we do in our business, that we're aware that there's people that feel like they get ripped off. So one of the things that we do to try to alleviate that is to not even set the situation up for failure. Next thing is being talked down to. Now, four women actually responded on this one, and they also, several of them gave kind of some examples, but yeah, they felt like they were talked down to. So I don't know, we've got a couple women in here. Have you ever think, is that real?
They look at you like, you're just a woman, you wouldn't know, I'm just gonna do whatever, and you're just dumb.
Right. And so, I think one of the ladies in the survey said that she always brings her husband with her because of her fear of this, well, they're not going to talk down to me if my husband's here. So it's real. So anyways, this is one of the reasons we have 2 women that work in our office.
Well, even as a man, you have to be careful not to show your ignorance, because then you walk into that situation too.
Show your ignorance in...
Towards car repairs and engine-related things.
True,
Anything
yeah.
that you don't know about,
Right.
you become, they look at you the same way.
Yeah, you're supposed to be the expert.
Yeah.
All right. Waiting can be helped. Who likes waiting, right? We're busy people. I had to go to the hospital recently with my wife, and I knew we were going to have to wait. I didn't know it was going to be 2.5 hours, and I didn't know it was going to be an all-night ordeal. Well, especially if you make an appointment with an auto body shop or repair shop, you'd expect that they were going to somewhat honor that, right? So that's important. So, one of the things we do in our staff is make sure that people actually make an appointment, that they are put in the front of the line if there's other people in. Typically, in our case, there's only usually 1 or maybe 2 people come in at a time. But anyways, I can see that that's important to people. I know it's important to me. Having to bring the car back. Now, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, probably the one on that side's a little over the top.
Depending on where you live.
Well, I think you might have a master carpenter on her hands there. But this one's probably a little more real. In this case here, it would be, hey, we're under deadlines at our shop. We got to get the car out. The customer wants the car back. It's really important that we, meet the deadlines. Is it more important to meet those deadlines than to turn out a quality product? Probably not. Okay. So definitely, it's a concern. Anybody that's ever had to bring their car in, initially, it's not much fun in the first place. Now, if you got to bring it back, and then you got to, kind of hold their feet to the fire, or say, look, this isn't what I paid for. That's not much fun. So that's definitely something that a lot of people are concerned about. Not getting the vehicle back when promised. I hate that part. We make these commitments and things don't always happen. A lot of these are actually tied together, okay? If you set yourself up for failure in your business and you make these promises you can't keep, that's just going to cause problems. So, getting a vehicle back, like I already said, it's already inconvenient. You got to take your car in, and then you make plans, and then there's nothing worse than showing up when the car is supposed to be done and being told at that time it's either not ready yet or you're going to have to come back later. I mean, just steam's probably coming out your ears by that point. Like, speaking of steam, okay, dealing with upsales. Now, this is something I really didn't consider much, but a couple people brought this up that, when they go to bring their car in for one problem, well, suddenly they have all these other problems that they want to sell them on. They almost forget about the thing they brought it in for in the first place. So we have dealt with upsales. I mean, we have gone a couple different routes with this. We had a real comprehensive sheet that we developed on the cars where when they come in, we would do a pretty thorough examination. We've refined that. So the way we look at it now is that we're gonna point out the obvious to you, okay? Like broken windshield, safety things like headlights, tail lights, things that are really pretty obvious. We don't take the time, and we don't feel it's necessary at that point to really get into any other things other than, number one, the thing you brought your car in for. But I did have a customer one time on his way out the door, he saw our sign for the $200 windshield special, and he goes, you know, Kevin, my car's been in your shop 2 weeks. I've had a broken windshield the whole time. And he goes, I don't even care if it's a sale or not. I would have paid the regular price, but just the convenience to have it done while I was in your shop, you know, I'm not trying to get on your case, but I really feel like somebody should have said something like, you know, hey, we actually do windshields here. So that's more of our approach now, is an awareness, like, you know, you do have a broken windshield, we do them here if you're interested, and we have a special, or we really stick with more of the safety items on vehicles. And, you know, we are aware that, you know, upsales aren't fun, and, you know, we don't try to make it difficult for people.
It's all about how you approach it, though. As long as you're not badgering them.
A lot of it's education and yeah, how you present it. Being charged more than the original quote, well, that kind of can go along with the initial thing I said about being ripped off. You know, if you just handle the whole process incorrectly, you know, maybe the quote had to go up. There's no way around it, okay? It was absolutely necessary. There's steps to do that which will prevent a person having to look, you know, have that anger. So, well, number one, you know, get authorization first. Explain what the process is. You know, why is this necessary, and why is it going to be more money? And, you know, give them the option. Well, if you don't want to fix it, that's fine, you know, but the last thing you want to do is to present them with, oh yeah, here's your bill, sorry it went up. I personally had that happen, and I was extremely upset. And so, I don't know if anybody else has, but it's not much fun. Being without their vehicle, there's a steam in the ears. So, I don't know about you, but in a way, I live in my car. I have food, water, jumper cables, tools, a little bit of everything, you know. I mean, almost like a survival kit. I mean, I can tow a vehicle. I mean, so if I'm without my car, even if my wife and I switch cars, hers might be prettier, but it can't tow a vehicle. It can't tow a trailer. You know, it's not my car, you know. So I really appreciate having my own car. Probably everybody has their own car for a reason. It suits their needs. So definitely being without your car for any length of time is just not comfortable. Not having the repairs explained to them. Okay, thanks. So that's a biggie. I mean, definitely a lot of things can be prevented if you actually explain what's going on, which is the reason, like when we do an estimate for anybody, we don't just say, here's your estimate, it's going to be $2,000, you know. Well, before we get to the price, we need to explain how do we justify that price? And even better, if somebody comes in, they're in a hurry, we take pictures of the car, yeah, just email me the estimate. Rather than just email them an estimate, because I know dang well as soon as they get the estimate, they're going to scroll right down to the bottom. It's like, oh, $2,000, that's too much money. Okay, forget that. We're always going to call them first, explain, okay, here's the situation on your car, here's the procedures it's going to need, and explain it all to them, then give them the price, and then, you know, they can react however they want to. Then we'll email it to them, because it gives us an opportunity to explain, you know, explain any kind of confusion. And if you've ever read an auto repair estimate, you know, they're a little confusing sometimes. Not being updated during the repair process, no brainer, you know. Take your car in the shop, they never called, you know, and you're wondering, is it done, what's going on, have they found additional damage? I mean, Did it get stolen? I mean, our policy on this is Tuesdays and Thursdays, okay? And sometimes more than that, but every Tuesday and every Thursday, everybody that has a vehicle in our shop is going to be contacted. How do we contact them? Well, that depends. When you come in and fill out the initial paperwork, we ask one of the questions is, how do you want to be contacted? Do you want a phone call? Do you want an email? Do you want a text? People communicate differently nowadays, so we need to make sure that, we might be saying, well, yeah, we've been communicating with them. Well, they didn't get the communication. We've been sending them email, and maybe they don't like reading emails. So that's how we do it. Filling out paperwork. This is a kind of interesting one because we have a form. Ain't nobody got time for that. So we have a standard form when people come in, we have them fill it out. But when I did that survey, I learned something. There was a guy, and he left me about a 2-paragraph explanation why he really hated the forms and how we should really change our process and do it a different way. And I looked into that. I thought, I think he's onto something here. He suggested, he goes, why don't you just have an iPad or something where we can fill out the stuff, where I'm a millennial here. I mean, come on, man. I don't do that kind of stuff. So he got the wheels spinning in my head. We checked with our estimating company. They do offer what he kind of described. So we're looking into doing it. I think we're going to do it. And when I do, I'm going to send him a picture and I say, thanks for the great idea. So anyways, some people might prefer just filling out paperwork, but others like, well, why am I doing this? I mean, this is old school. So anyways, that's one thing I got out of the survey that was really beneficial, was just the fact that somebody not only gave me some feedback, but they even gave me some new ideas that I hadn't really thought about. Having the kids with them. Well, yeah, if you got kids, you got to take your car to the repair shop. It could be something that you're not really too fond of. You got to take the kids. You know dang well what's going to happen. They're going to destroy everything. A couple things, we're aware of this, so we have, I've had kids. When I was a kid, when I went to the dentist, I was always okay with going. I didn't like it, but I was always okay because they had a little toy box there with toys in there, so it kind of made it okay. We have a toy box in ours for that particular reason for kids, and we also have movies like Cars. We got to have that one, and a couple other ones. Yeah, we have candy. So, anyways, it's real, and so we have to take some. Some of these things I'm pointing out, we have taken measures on. Some we need to probably look into further, but this is one that we're aware of, and it's legitimate. Uncomfortable waiting area. Oh, who likes a area, real quick story. I sent my mom when I was a teenager because I needed this window for my car, and I sent her to this wrecking yard, and I'll never forget. She came back, she says, don't ever make me do that again. That place was disgusting. It was cold. Those guys are not customer friendly, to say the least. Yeah, it was really uncomfortable. So this is probably one of the first things that we did in our shop. Okay, and we took the approach that we wanted people to really feel comfortable in our shop. Yeah, let's see, just about out of time here. So gee whiz, if you want to avoid some of these problems you're seeing, I have a solution for you. So one thing that we have done, I'll just pass these around here. We send out these surveys with every time somebody has their car repaired at our shop. We want to know. I had these made up a couple years ago, but a lot of these questions that we ask, we want feedback. See, well, how did we do? Address some of the problems that you saw on the screen here. So I'm gonna pass them around. You can kind of see. These are some of the things that we're concerned about. And I'd like to say we always get 100%. Everybody says you always do fantastic. There have been a couple times where that's not the case. And thank goodness they let us know. We're able to correct it rather than just, saying bad things about us. So one good thing is, with the way social media and everything works nowadays, we get reviews, and reviews are just like gold. They're just absolutely really beneficial for our company. And we had a review last weekend, and I shared it with the guys because the guy was really happy with the quality from the service in the office to the workmanship on the vehicle, and gave us 5 stars. And so the guy was really happy to hear about that. And I told him, I said, I'm just scrolling through the reviews and stuff. I noticed that 18 reviews have been done on us recently, and every single one of them were 5 stars. So I said, you know, sometimes things don't always go right, but I told the guys, I said, look, to be honest with you, we are doing, we can always do things better, but we are doing a lot of things right, but we're going to continue to improve until, you know, we've done everything that we want to in the business. So I'm out of time. Yeah.
Do you do windshields?
We do.
Change them out? Or do you just do the building?
We've actually hired a full-time person that's got about 25 years in the windshield industry. So we do windshield replacement, water leaks, window regulators, anything to do with glass, we can handle it.
Tinting?
Except tinting. we actually have a guy that can, I take that back, we have a guy that'll come in and do window tinting. So.
Well, I got it. When you were gone, Megan got a referral from me for my windshield.
Okay.
She let me know it's not going to be 200, it's going to be 250. But one of the questions I forgot to ask her was, because I have my front windshield tinted, so.
Oh.
And I already know it's against the law, whatever.
Well, just the top's tinted, right?
No, the whole thing.
Oh.
Until the officer sees your face.
Get a doctor's note.
I'm gonna let this one slide.
Get a doctor's
You
note.
should have that thing.
Get a doctor's.
I've never been, it's a secondary offense, so. But for me, it helps me at nighttime driving with the glare of the headlights, it totally cuts it down.
Okay.
Here's another question for you though. One of my pet peeves or something that I had an experience with, and I'm just looking for your opinion on this, is I had a white Honda. So it had like the molded plastic bumpers
Okay.
on the back. When they fixed it, because it had been rear-ended, the white plastic just looked a different shade than the metal white. And they said, well, it's just how the paint takes to the plastic, and it's very commonly looks like a slightly different color. It's just the way it is and what happens.
There's some truth to that, but depends on how far. I mean, you saw the picture of that blue bumper, and I mean, if it's that drastic, they've
No, it's not that drastic.
okay, but even if it's not, even I mean, that's extreme. Okay,
Yeah.
even if it's unacceptable to, I would have to take a look at it. But there is something to what they said. If you look at a brand new car, you look at the plastic parts on the car, and you look at the metal parts. There's very often all the plastic parts are a little different shade than the metal. They're painted in a separate area, so there's a lot of things that contribute to it. Sometimes you get lucky and everything matches good, but it's common to see that, you know, the mirrors, side moldings, and the bumpers they all match each other, but the rest of the car doesn't quite match that. Yes.
Do you check with the insurance companies to make sure that they have enough insurance to cover the work that you need done?
No, we don't really get into that part.
I had somebody work on a Lexus of mine, somebody just totally caved in the back of it. And the company said, yeah, we'll go ahead and take care of it. They did it. They called me up and said, we got good news and bad news. Good news is your car's done, come pick it up. The bad news is you owe us $3,500.
I think you told me that story. Yeah, I've never run into that.
So went up from what, up to 35 extra?
They're saying the insurance company, they capped it, right? Yeah.
He only had the state minimums. Yeah. state
Yeah.
minimums.
You know, along the way, while we're during the repair process, part of like some things I talked about with you know, communications and some of that delays sometimes has to do with getting approval from the insurance company. So we only proceed as we have approval. So you jump the gun, you kind of stick your neck out, and then you could be jeopardizing putting the customer in the middle of it. So a lot of it's just communication.
Absolutely. That is the number one.
So, and I know.
Just had to do the rest of the work and it cost an extra $1,500.
You know, and the funny thing about it is, I'm really glad I did the survey because I had a preconceived notion in my head that people were going to say it was all about not being communicated during the repair process. I thought that would be the number one. I thought that, you know, because I, you know, get on their case sometimes like, hey, are you calling these people, you know, and I thought, you know, that's the most important thing. It is important, but not nearly as important as, you know, the honesty and integrity of a business. So that was really the most, and I learned something from it, so, yeah.
I worked for a company in New Jersey, and the guy brought in his car, got it fixed, wasn't fixed. Brought it back, got it fixed, it wasn't fixed. Third time, he was driving somewhere, and he was down the road, several miles down the road and his car gave out again. So the big boss got called and he had to go pick up that car.
Yeah. Okay, I know I'm out of time, so I'm going to wrap it up. So thank you.